Hello, welcome to part one of a series for, well, planned series, we'll see, for modular warfare. This is a tutorial on how to animate a weapon for modular warfare. I probably should have fixed a lot of this stuff beforehand. So this is going to be a tutorial on how to create animation for using Blockbench for modular warfare. Simple process, just, it can be a little daunting at first. So, start with what you need. So what you'll need. This is just how I do it. I can't really it. So I can show you how to set up everything, but I'm not gonna be able to tell you how to animate necessarily, just because everybody's gonna have their own way they do it. But yeah. So anyway, so first thing you need to do is make sure you have these folders, which are groups or bones or whatever you want to call them. In Blockbench they're called groups, but anywhere else they're called a bone. So what you need to do first is you need to create a main bone or a root bone. Call it whatever you want. Then you want to group up all your parts. So I got my sights, stock, got my barrel here, which I actually go ahead and fix that real quick. Group up everything into here. Then you also need a left and right arm. Now you can get the model for these from Modular Warfare, from the animated content pack, which is just installs by default. Every single gun in there already has properly UV'd and modeled and sized everything correctly already. So what you can do is you can import those into Blockbench, and Now keep in mind this tutorial is for Modern Warfare at the time of recording. Vic's Modern Warfare is not currently in open source, but I imagine things will be working a lot differently once that comes out. This is just using basic thing. So once you got everything grouped up, what I recommend is go for the angle that you want your first-person view to be at. This is just sort of reference view. You want to right-click, save angle, name it whatever you want. And what you do is you go to here, go to angles, and you can see all the guns here. All the angles I have already. Click on the one you just made, and that'll give you sort of a base to start with. So we're going to do a reload here. So for Modular Warfare, you need reload, unload, load, inspect, and draw. That's all you need. I tip. It'll make sense later. So, something you can do too if you don't really not really super comfortable with your animation skills is you can have the left arm group inside of the the mag group. I don't recommend doing that, but I mean if you want to, you can. But for me, I'm just gonna have this. So I'm going to. So first thing you need. So before you start animating, get a sort of general idea about what you want to do with it. Like what do you want to have, like a mag release or like a bolt release? Do you like what's the action of your weapon? How does it work? This is based off of Bren, so this is simple. You just pull it and that's it. But not all guns are gonna be as simple. Like I modeled a G11 recently, and that's gonna be interesting to animate. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do start. We're going to have our first frame. This is the first frame of the animation. I'm going to... I don't know if I should do a scar-like reload like you see in a lot of video games nowadays. And we're just going to do... So you see, so what I did was I did a first frame, second movement. So you see, okay, so essentially this right here is your timeline, and you click this to scrub. And there's your first movement, second movement, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have like this, and I'm gonna have. Hold on. Actually, this is set correctly. I'm gonna have my arm do a rotation and a movement. Do it like that. Basically, it's just sort of doing each movement depending on what time the time code. We're gonna do. I'm gonna pull it out. So for the ammo, for the so like I said, I can't really properly explain how this works, but because what I recommend most is just get everything grouped up correctly and then sort of mess with it and see what you can do with it. But so what I'm gonna do here is, since I have the mag moving, I'm gonna have a keyframe and I'm gonna sync up the movements together with these two weapons, these two pieces, and then just see how it looks. Looks good. So I'm gonna do that. That movement's a bit quick, so I'm gonna slow that down a bit. So I'm gonna do that. This is moving back into the gun. So what I'll usually do is put a bit of, like have it where you stop like right before you put the mag in, like this. This helps, give it a bit more weight. Do that and that. See how that looks. Okay, so now the mag's in. I'm gonna have another movement. I'm not gonna be talking much during this because, like I said, it's pretty much just keep an eye on what I'm doing and just sort of, either copy it directly or you can kind of use it as a way to see what you're doing, what you need to do. This is what we got so far. Not looking too bad. So for the bolt, I like to do a bit of a stop, like a little bit in the stop, just so it's like it's interacting with the carrier mechanism or the bolt whatever mechanism. There we go. Like I said, you need to make sure you know how your weapon works, because if you don't know how a weapon works, then how you can animate it. And then I'm gonna have it where I go like that, so the bolt gets released. Bad. Okay, and now we're gonna have a return to idle. I usually do a bit of a bounce when I do it. Add a little bit of a bounce when I do it, just to give it a little bit of niceness. So what I'll do is I'll do like the base position, then I'll do like a little rotation there. Second keyframe, I'll do a little rotation, then just default. Okay, so then I need to have this return to normal. There we go, we have our basic reload animation. It's just, this is all with just standard interpolation. Now, interpolation is a bit fun too, because what this will do is basically how it sort of connects the keyframes together, and they sort of, it's hard to explain. So I'll show you what I mean. So you see how this is all fairly, straightforward and standard. Then we go change this to smooth, and I'll show you what it does. You kind of smooth these things out, add some extra motion, add extra momentum and movement and stuff. Now this I'm going to be working with this, but you don't want to do this for the mag or the arms and stuff unless you know what you're doing. Because if you do, it's gonna look really weird. I'll show you. See, that looks weird. So I only recommend doing it on the base bone unless you know what you're doing. Which if you're watching this video, you probably don't. But let's give me set to smooth. So what I'll do now is I'll add some little shakes, like for example when you move the mag. Oh, too much. So you see like a frame right before I put a keyframe down, and then another one down. Okay. And I highly recommend you play around with this to see what you can do with it. See what we got. It's probably a bit too violent, but okay. So that looks good. Now, I mean, technically it's done, but nitpick of mine is I don't like to have the bullets. So what I'll do is I'll scale it. I'll click on scale down here, and I'll scale it down to 0. So there we go. And right here, I'll switch it back to 1. So essentially off screen, it'll scale back up. Let's see what this looks like from a different angle. That's why I suggested saving an angle for this, so you could see what your first-person view is going to see. At least, what it should see. So, let's see. So you can see that looks pretty good. I don't think I didn't. You can do mag releases and stuff, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So there's your reload. Not really too hard. So if you're following along, you should have your first reload. I'm gonna do a inspect now. Now, if you're doing this for modular warfare, I wouldn't recommend having your character do anything with the mag, because if you don't have an empty gun, it's gonna look goofy. Your character's grabbing stuff that doesn't exist, There we go. I don't know how well this is going to apply to Victim Modern Warfare whenever it goes open source. Like I said, the beginning of the video, this is before it's being recorded, so things are going to work differently because, the mod doesn't use OBJs, it uses Java models, I understand, so. Looks good. Then I'm going to go back here and take this return to idle part, and I'm going to put that right at the end. I said, I recommend you play around with this. Use this as a guide. Like, don't use this as a guaranteed way to do your animation. And this, yeah, this looks alright. Yeah. Also, I also recommend play around these interpolations. You know, you can create a little more movement if you want. I just add an extra movement there. Inspect. All done. Now you can do unique load and unload animations, or you can do what I usually do, which is just chop up the reload. I'll usually chop up the reload sometimes, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna do load for this one. Actually, no, should do unload first. So what I'll do is I'll see. Delete all the keyframes for put the mag back in. Okay. I'll select all of these, move it forward. Might need to mess with it and make sure it looks good. Looks good. I'll do a load. Which for this, it's going to be delaying the removal part. Left arm's a bit weird. Hopefully that makes some sense. Also, you might want to delete the bullet scaling parts. Now, you can get as complex as you want with this. You can actually have like fully animated like chambering and all that if you really want to. I'm not going to do it on this weapon, but I've done it in the past. So, alright, so there we go. We got reload, load, unload, inspect. Now we need. You can do fire animations. I'm going to do one because, you know, you don't always need to. You can kind of get away with it sometimes, but I'm going to do it on this one because, you know, get the bolt. So this has a reciprocating charging handle. So, like I said, it's kind of good you understand how your weapon works when you do this. We're going to do boom. And boom. Simple, just bolt. Boom. You can have a bullet pop out. You can go crazy with this if you really want to, but we're not going to do that for this example. Oh, for the debating whether or not I should have the stock folder in the animation for the draw animation. Beating. Nah, yeah, I probably shouldn't because you can, yeah. Never mind. And we'll do that later. Worry about that later. So your draw animation. This is simple. You just have like a starting position, which is gonna be this sort of deal. Then you take your return to idle animation. You just skip a little bit, then that's all you need to do. You should probably like that. It's a little quick. I'm gonna slow it down a bit. There, that's about right. There we go. It's a bit better. So yeah, we got reload, load, unload, inspect, fire, draw, everything there. Now I'm going to do animation, create a new animation called just animations. And then I'm gonna set this to animation length up here to 18. This is, it's usually a good place to start. Create two start frame, do a start rotation frame and stuff. Now I'm gonna start. Now you can lay this out any way you want. You can lay it out exactly like me, or you can do your own thing. It doesn't matter. So I'm gonna click Bring Up All Animators. Control A, Control C. I click here, Control V. And you'll see the animation here. Another thing is, so I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So these are set to smooth to start with. If you leave those on smooth, you're gonna have problems. So if you leave it on smooth, you'll see this little bit in between the animation is a bit of movement. You don't want that. So you need to set the end of your first animation and the start of your second animation is linear. So there's no movement between these two. See? No movement. So, again, the end, linear, beginning. So that was reload. So we're going to do unload now. There's a little movement I was talking about. If you don't set the linear. Now, like I said, you can do unique load and unload animations, but I just cover just chopping up the reloads usually better. Usually end up looking better anyways. Oh yeah. That's why you can hear me clicking Control A a few times, is because sometimes it doesn't select everything. There. It's linear. Then we're going to do fire. Then we're going to do this. At the beginning of the next animation, so that was load, right? Yep, that was load. Now we're going to have draw. So, yeah. Alright, there you go. Now you're ready for modular warfare. This thing is not ready. So I'd recommend saving, and then before you export it, you have to delete all these extra animations. Alright, then there's your animation timeline. It all has to be on one timeline, so just basically one animation. So now I'm going to click on angle, and I'm going to let you watch the animation I just made. And this is all the animations in one timeline. There you go. That's everything. Hopefully this was informative. If you guys want me to make a whole series on bringing a gun from Blockbench to modular warfare, because I did do a video, but it was kind of fast, and I sort of just threw it together. I would be happy with making a whole series of this, if you guys want me to. Sort of shown step by step on making an animated gun pack. It's really not hard. Just you gotta get used to it. In any case, thanks for watching.